6, clouds and sunshine to start the holiday weekend.
Then breaking news, pieces of debris crumbling down at downtown Crossing Station, nearly missing a commuter.
Also breaking, a serious crash in Mattapan. Several vehicles collide on a busy street.
Also, the Supreme Court striking down student debt relief and ruling in favor of religious freedom. We have Team 7 coverage of today's monumental decisions. And excitement building on the Esplanade. Preparations in full swing for the Boston Pops 4th of July Spectacular.
7 News at 6 starts now.
First at 6, New England welcoming sunny skies today. Many people taking advantage of the sensational weather ahead of the holiday weekend. In New Hampshire, a different story. What a view. A sea of clouds taking over the sky. But they, too, had breaks of sunshine throughout the day.
They sure did. The seasonal weather, a welcome sight after a long stretch of humid temps. It's still humid out there, but also a little break from the clouds. This is a live look at a busy travel day across New England. Many people hitting the roads ahead of the holiday weekend. This is 93 South. It's slow going out there on the expressway, but really nothing out of the ordinary for a Friday especially. And if you're headed to the Cape, traffic is smooth sailing over the Bourne Bridge right now. Not the regular traffic mess we are used to seeing right before the holiday. Maybe people got it out of the way yesterday. People want to get those grills fired up, ready to go. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Reiner has more on how the holiday forecast is shaping up. Jeremy.
Yeah, gorgeous right now with partly to mostly sunny skies. Kim alluded to the New Hampshire area seeing clouds. Certainly the New Hampshire beaches overcast, low clouds, and that's the case up into southwest Maine. Farther inland across New Hampshire, clouds and sunshine. And down here in southern New England, the beach is just gorgeous with a buildup of a few cumulus clouds inland. That's actually the sea breeze, the leading edge of some cooler air trying to punch in from the ocean. Now, sometimes this sea breeze can engage a shower or storm, but that has not been the case. This one is behaving itself, and I think it will for the rest of this evening. Temps at the coastline in the 70s, farther inland, low to mid 80s. Fitchburg right now at 84. Weather map for tomorrow. Looks good. We'll have a few clouds tomorrow morning. Some of those clouds may produce a brief shower on the Cape, but otherwise I think becoming partly sunny skies by lunchtime for everyone. Temps tomorrow morning, mid-60s, tomorrow afternoon into the low 80s. In terms of that shower threat, it's possible south shore on the Cape, but only up until about 10 or 11 a.m. Otherwise, even in those locations, becoming partly sunny. Sandwich at 79, Nantucket at 74. Metro Boston, upper 70s as you work into Metro West and the Worcester Hills. Temperatures in those locations in the low to mid 80s.
Right now, some breaking news video showing debris crashing down at downtown Crossing Station, nearly missing a commuter. 7's Grant Herms live there with breaking details for us. Grant?
Well, initially, when we were told about this, we learned that nobody was in danger, but this video is certainly telling a different story here. 7 News obtaining this video from the MBTA of the falling debris that nearly hit one commuter earlier this week at the downtown Crossing Station. You can see here in the video, one of the chunks of concrete crashed to the platform, landing just inches from a person who was standing looking at their phone. Other riders startled, looking over to see what had just happened. Now, the debris was still there when our 7 News crew went down into Station Crossing here that evening. The pieces of concrete were blocked off with obvious signs of decay in the ceiling above. But tonight, the space back open for people to stand right underneath the caution barriers tucked behind a pillar, despite decay still being right above their heads. Now, when last month the head of the MBTA went before officials, he said that there'd be chief of station positions to spot these things, to prevent this kind of thing from happening. So far, those positions are not up on the MBTA website. In Boston, Grant Herms, 7 News.
On 7 News now, the Supreme Court striking down the president's promise to wipe away $400 billion in student loan debt. The court says the Biden administration overstepped its authority trying to cancel or reduce loans for millions of people. Nation's highest court also ruling in favor of free speech, allowing a Christian graphic artist to refuse to work with same-sex couples. Reaction to both of these decisions largely divided along party lines.
President Biden also spoke today addressing the student loan decision. With more from the justices on each ruling, we have Team 7 coverage, beginning with Michael Yoshida live in the newsroom with the latest on the student debt decision. Michael.
President Biden says the fight isn't over and his administration is coming up with new ways to help Americans with student loan debt. The Supreme Court striking down President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan, saying the White House overstepped its authority in its efforts to deliver up to $20,000 in loan relief to millions of borrowers struggling with debt. The decision was 6-3, with the court's conservative majority saying the administration would need congressional approval to execute such a move. The justices also took issue with the plan's wording, saying the forgiveness goes beyond a modification of the HEROES Act, a bipartisan 2003 law dealing with student loans. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said in part, 6 states sued, arguing that the HEROES Act does not authorize the loan cancellation plan. We agree. Joined by the court's liberals, Justice Elena Kagan wrote in a dissent, saying that the majority of the court overrides the combined judgment of the legislative and executive branches, with the consequence of eliminating loan forgiveness for 43 million Americans.
I believe the court's decision to strike down my student debt relief program was a mistake, was wrong. I'm not going to stop fighting.
President Joe Biden saying his administration is not giving up on debt relief and is laying out a new plan, including
I'm announcing today a new path consistent with today's ruling to provide student debt relief to as many borrowers as possible, as quickly as possible. We will ground this new approach in a different law than my original plan, the so-called Higher Education Act.
The court's decision means, barring an act of Congress, student loan payments are set to restart later this year. Experts saying there are still other ways to seek debt relief, and you should start looking into those now.
Come September, you're going to start accruing interest on your federal loans. And in October, you're going to have to start making a payment. If you have private loans, you want to look and see if there's an ability to refinance those loans. If you have federal loans, you want to look at if you've not consolidated your loan, you want to do a federal consolidation loan with the federal government direct. But I think if you do that and if you be proactive starting today.
And President Biden said his new plan also includes a temporary 12-month on-ramp repayment program that's aimed at helping borrowers who will need to make tough financial decisions when payments resume later this year. Live in the newsroom, Mike Yoshida, 7 News.
Now the closer look at the ruling in a favor of a Christian business owner who denied service to same-sex couples. 7's Kim Lucy live in the newsroom with that part of our team coverage. Kim.
Adam, the decision coming down on the final day of Pride Month. LGBTQ advocates say it's a huge blow to their civil rights. But the Supreme Court majority says it's a case of freedom of speech.
The Supreme Court handing down a ruling in favor of a designer who doesn't want to make wedding websites for gay couples, sending shockwaves through the LGBTQ community.
There feels like there's a coordinated attack against the LGBTQ community. There's a lot of disappointment, a lot of sadness about this ruling and decision.
Led by the court's conservative justices, the court ruled 6-3 for the designer, despite a Colorado law that bars discrimination based on sexual orientation, race, gender, and other characteristics. The Christian designer had argued the law violated her free speech rights, saying she's willing to work with all people regardless of their sexual orientation, but she draws the line at creating websites that celebrate same-sex marriage because expressing such a message would be inconsistent with her religious beliefs. Justice Neil Gorsuch writing in the decision, the First Amendment envisions the United States as a rich and complex place where all persons are free to think and speak as they wish, not as the government demands. The website designer's lawyer speaking about their win.
It's not about gay marriage specifically. It's about whether the government can force an American to say something that they don't believe.
But Justice Sonia Sotomayor writing the dissent, joined by the court's other liberal judges, saying in part, today the court, for the first time in its history, grants a business open to the public a constitutional right to refuse to serve members of a protected class. Colorado's Attorney General says only time will tell how this impacts their law and larger groups.
What we need to do is be ready for these exceptions, and we have to encourage the norm here in Colorado that we want people putting out signs, we serve everyone. Everyone is equal under the law.
President Biden saying in a statement the ruling was disappointing, adding that it weakens longstanding laws protecting all Americans against discrimination and public accommodations. Live in the newsroom, Kim Lucy, 7 News.
We've been following some breaking news. Sky 7 HD over a horrible accident in Mattapan. Several cars crashing outside an auto body shop on Blue Hill Avenue. Let's go to Kiki Wenzel. She is there with the breaking details. Where do things stand now, Kiki?
So So, Kim, cleanup has been underway here along Blue Hill Avenue. As you can see here behind me, traffic is moving once again following this crash involving multiple vehicles. Sky 7 HD above that wreck just about 4 p.m. this afternoon. This happened right outside Mattapan Auto Body Shop. Several vehicles were involved. You can see a truck with a ladder smashed right into the back of another car. The airbags inside that car deployed. A van was also involved, as well as 2 other cars along the sidewalk. And cell phone video was also shared with us of the aftermath of this multi-vehicle crash. Glass just all over the road with part of it blocked off. And we also have some close-up pictures we want to share with you of all the damage to the vehicles. You can see the significant damages. Witnesses on the scene, they tell us several people were taken away in ambulances from this scene. Right now, we're working to get more information on the extent of the injuries, if any. We're going to continue to follow this developing story and bring you the very latest right here on 7. But for now, that's the latest live here in Mattapan. I'm Nikki Bensel, 7 News.
We are just a few days away from July 4th, and Boston is buzzing ahead of the fireworks spectacular show on the Esplanade. Preparations are in full swing over at the Hatch Shell. Today, public safety officials provided an update on security preparations as we get closer to the holiday. 7's Kimberly Bookman live along the Esplanade with more at 6. Kimberly.
Adam, this is one of the most beloved celebrations in the country. It's been happening here in Boston since 1929, and today officials say they are ready for another spectacular event. Crews are hammering out the final details as the annual July 4th Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular approaches. A beloved tradition in the city, this year extra meaningful for Salim Joseph.
For me, it's the first 4th of July after becoming a new citizen of the country.
A celebration of America's independence, the Pops puts on a concert chock full of patriotic favorites, performances by guest artists, and a fireworks display.
We planned it with one word in mind, and that's fun.
But there's also the serious business of security that public safety officials are working on.
These professionals have been gathering and analyzing information for weeks, scouring the intelligence for any potential threats to this event. I'm happy to say that currently we are aware of no credible threats.
Visitors can expect uniformed troopers, police officers, members of the National Guard, DCR Rangers, along with canine teams on the Esplanade. There will also be patrols on the Charles River and in the sky above.
What concerns us most are lone actors who self-radicalize with little or no warning and look to attack soft targets.
So law enforcement is asking for the public's help in bringing only what you need. No coolers on wheels, backpacks, weapons, grills, alcohol, glass containers and cans, or drones. This year, COVID is less of a concern, but the well-being of the crowd is not.
We will have medical tents dispersed about the area where we can bring people to for minor complaints. We'll also have EMTs on bicycles and on gators or carts.
Preparation for an event this new citizen can't wait to mark.
I enjoy Star Bengal Banner, also firework I enjoy. Also, people gather together to celebrate the whole Independence Day of the nation.
And authorities are advising people to take public transit to the event. They say the tea will be free and there will be extra officers on hand. Reporting live from the Esplanade, Kimberly Bookman, 7 News.
You can watch the Boston Pops July 4th Spectacular right here on 7. It's produced by and is also airing on Bloomberg TV and Bloomberg Radio. The show is sponsored by Morgan Stanley. Tune in at 8 o'clock on the 4th to catch all the excitement.
Still ahead on 7 News at 6, after a mega mess, a Massachusetts man finally gets his lottery winnings. What today's check presentation means to him.
And coming up tonight on 7 News at 6:30, preparing for the Sumner Shutdown. Maybe showdown too. How you can avoid a rough ride when the tunnel closes for renovations.
And we are staying on top of that breaking news, that crash in Mattapan, several cars colliding on a busy street, and police are investigating. We're also watching the cleanup. We'll keep you posted.
Also breaking danger at downtown crossing station. Pieces of concrete almost hitting a commuter. Stay with the news station for breaking details.